Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're having a really great afternoon. Well, I had done this particular flower arrangement in watercolor, but what I want to show you is how, and I'm afraid it's not attached to the my thing anymore, the block thing, so it's gonna probably ripple a little bit, but that's okay. That doesn't matter in this exercise. So what I wanted to just do, I have a few colors here of acrylic paint, and I'm going to show you what it's going to look like to use acrylic paint right over the watercolor paints. So I have to keep in my mind that watercolor does what it does, acrylics does what it does, which is basically watercolor goes from light to dark, where acrylic paint goes from dark to light. So as long as I remember that, we'll be fine. So I've just got some paints I've put together, and I'm going to, in different places on here, so as to not cover up what I have already done in watercolor that much. I mean, I'm going to cover up a little, but we're going to just add some areas that are going to be watercolor. Been a little while since I've painted in, I mean, that's going to be acrylic. Been a little while, like I said, that I've painted in acrylic, but you know, let's just see what we can get here. So we just added some highlights. Works a little differently. Of course, I can make these work as well as watercolor, and I've done that in a different video altogether, shown how I used watered down acrylics to work as watercolor, and they really work pretty cool, actually. So right now we're just kind of getting some lighter areas. I'm using the same brushes, but I'll be making sure that I wash them off really, really well in this, under the faucets. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make, I'm not sure which brush I want to use. Actually, I think I'm going to use one of these flat brushes, like a fairly small one. It's a size 5/6, whatever that means. Okay, so I'm going to get some red here, some red and some Indian yellow together. See what that looks like. And then, like, excuse me, allergies are an all-time high today. Right up here, excuse me, and right up over all these other flowers and things. I'm going to put in an acrylic one, and then we'll add some white to that color to get something a little bit lighter on one side, certain areas, so that it, kind of resembles the color that I have going on. And also in acrylics, layering becomes your, layering's a lot, usually. Have to put quite a few layers for different things. So we have, that one came out pretty. Okay, so we've got that, and then I'll take a little bit of that off, and still with some of that color on my brush, because I like to do that, as I've told you, as keep on my brush, so that I have multiple colors on my brush. And so see, I'm not going to be, this isn't going to blend. There's nothing that's going to happen with water here, because I'm using straight acrylics, but they are so pretty even so. And then what I think I'll do, but not with this flat brush. So we want to, the thing I like about watercolor is it's so easy to work with. and it's not messy. It's, you know, if it lands on something, you can get it off for the most part. Not so with acrylics. Okay, so we're going to, I want to make some thinner, guess I can use this, some stems. I'm blending on my palette here. So I've got, right now I'm going to come down here to this area where I have watercolor of these, and I'm going to go right over the ones that are watercolor here. And you see, the thing about acrylics is they're certainly more vivid. I mean, you know, watercolor can be very vivid too, but there's definitely a difference, you know, with the two. And then I can lighten it up like I just did there. Maybe just get a little brown on my brush at the same time. Work it in, and then maybe just, you know, go like that around the stem. And then I think I will do the lighter stem. I'll actually come, not using much water at all because I'm just using paint. And this is, by the way, this is on watercolor paper. So, which you can also do. And so here we have some lighter colored ones right over what's already on the paper. It's not disturbing the watercolor or anything because the watercolor is dry. Now, if I tried to do this on wet, you know, while the watercolor was wet, well, it would disturb it. But because it's not, it won't. So let's get some yellow. And I'm just gonna kind of come up around here. This isn't the best brush, but I don't want to use my really good watercolors for this brushes. Certain ones I use and certain ones I don't. So you see, and it'll kind of pop. These things will stand out more. I thought about doing the acrylic first and then the watercolor, and then I thought no, because what I want to show is how much more, you know, with this acrylic, how much more it will show over the watercolor, where if it was the other way around it wouldn't be quite so much. So we've got some little, the brush doesn't work as well as I like, but as I said, I don't want to use my better ones to mix the watercolor and the acrylic on a brush. I just keep so many for when I'm doing this sort of thing. And then we also can do the right over some of the other ones. We can put some of these in, right? We'll add some yellow ochre to that, which is a nice touch to it. I mean, you really, if you didn't know, you probably wouldn't be able to tell. Because straight watercolor can also, you know, be quite striking by using very little water and mainly just the paints. But I thought this would be a fun thing this afternoon to add to this painting I've already done. Now, as you can see, oh, wait a minute, I wanted to come over here, add some, there we go. And I'm even going to go so far as adding, I'm going to do this as well. The ones that I've already done watercolor, I'm going to add in acrylic. I think it's really fun to mix these things like this, the paints like this. Whoops, I didn't want yellow, I wanted white. And so I'll get a little more white with that red, and we want some better highlights here. I'm gonna not put my hand right into everything. And we'll add that there, maybe some there. And that's probably good for that flower. Then I think, and of course the colors are different. I have a different red than I had from the watercolor, and I have a different, you know, I had rose, which is such a pretty color. I'm gonna mix this for a pink to kind of start another one of these right down here. So I'm gonna turn the paper just a little bit. A messy table here, but that's all right. I'm actually gonna, I think, come right here. This is pretty much on dry paper, so that's another thing. So I'm gonna I may have to turn this over. I don't know if I can do this upside down or not here. Keep extending that. Yeah, I gotta turn it. It's not at all coming out like I wanted it to. I don't know what I tried that for. Okay. So we're just gonna see if we can salvage this thing. It's gonna be a really big flower, I guess, by the time we're finished here. Okay, and then we'll just put a little thing in there. You can actually have some petals looking like they're in the back as well. So this one's a little different. And we just want to get the division of the petals here. Get the highlight on the edge. Let's see here, I'll get some. Get a little darker color down at the bottom. Just kind of highlight the tops, the edges. I think that would be pretty. You know, like the sun is just kissing the tops of the, basically, the tops of the flower. All right. Sometimes it helps to turn your piece around so you're not, you know, trying to accomplish something kind of crazy. And then, of course, I'm going to put in the green. It's not going to mix in because it's not watercolor. So it's straight in, and I'm dragging some of that pink with me, if you noticed. So that's pretty. So that's kind of nice. Yeah, that actually came out quite nice. Okay, so we've got that one sort of drooping down there like that, which is fine. Whoops, there's something on my brush. I forgot I had the green. I can put water, as you see, and cause to move around while the paint is still a little wet. Once watercolor dries, you're not going to be able to do anything. I mean, acrylic dries, you're not going to be able to do any of this. But you can, while it's still wet, you can move it around a little bit. And of course, depending on the weather is how fast the acrylic will dry. It dries pretty fast, so. All right. I just thought this would be kind of a fun thing to do this afternoon. You know, seeing what it looks like with watercolor onto acrylics. Something different, right? Okay, and so we got a little bit of highlight on the tips in a couple places because this is facing down. So I love spring, but boy, oh boy, it can do me in with allergies. And it's doing a pretty good job lately. Okay, we're just kind of sticking in some more highlights. And that's probably about all we can do there with that one. Now I'm using different brushes too. I wanted to show you, I started with a Filberts. And I'm using a round now. And we're losing the highlights up here because it's drying, and it dries quite a lot darker. Just like watercolor dries quite a lot lighter. So you just have to always keep these things in mind. So, you know, that's why I say layers. Turns out to be layers. It's such a beautiful day here today. Turned out so beautiful. Love spring. I'd say it's probably my favorite time of year. But I do love the fall too, so that's a hard pickup, hard choice. Okay, and what I'm going to do, except for these two flowers, because those took me a little while to do, that would be too long, I want to repeat many of the things that I did in watercolor with these acrylics to show you the difference of what it would look like. So we're going to take this little spot here, of which you really cannot tell the difference in a lot of places. You can't tell the difference of that. I don't think you'd be able to. The only thing it does, like I said, is it's much more, a much stronger color. I'm adding this over my watercolor. I don't want to cover all my watercolor up, but I just want to show you some cool things. All right, so it looks like we have another one coming in between there. Then I think actually I'll use what's on my brush and just kind of come around here and add to these. I got some of the lavender and I've got some of the blue, and with adding a little white to brighten it up a little, and see it jumps more off the page to you. And as I said before, you would want to make sure that it's dry, the watercolor underneath. Now I'm going to repeat these little orange flowers right here with the acrylic. And they are going to jump off the page a little more. Unless I watered it down, which I'm not. I have very little water on my brush. I have no water on the paper. So I'm basically using this paint straight out of the acrylic paints straight out of the container. But see, they're brighter, they're stronger, more vivid. And to me, it's kind of cool to make the background, you know, with the watercolor, because you can get the background, and it's, you know, behind there, and then you just go and add the same things over, or similar over, and you know, I think it's quite nice. Of course, it's all in preference. Somebody else might think it's terrible, you know. And I'm sure there's somebody out there that probably does. So, you know, it doesn't matter. If you're doing the painting, then you go for it. Okay, so I've got those little things on there. And then we'll come over here to these yellow ones that I had. The same thing, but yellow and blue, actually. So I'm going to, whoops, I have green left on my brush. Okay, that's okay though. Oh no, there's some, I got some in my paint, that's why. Okay, so we'll use this yellow with a little bit of green in it. That just adds. Right over what I've already got going on. And I may have to do, and plus I have the texture, which I like. You can get, you know, this nice texture appeal with the, whoops, with the acrylic that you can't so much with watercolor. And then I'll take a blue and I'll add a couple of the blue ones right near the watercolor blue ones and right on top of the watercolor blue ones, actually. There we go. And we'll put a center. I would love to do these center flowers over again, but I don't want to cover them up because they came out so nice, number one. Excuse me, and number two, they took a long time. So I don't want to take that kind of time up again in this particular video. All right, so we did these, and we did these. This purple, these purple ones over, it's the same thing. It's the same way I did the green ones. I was trying to think of what other, I think I'll take this pretty pink and I'll do the same dotted, which I believe are, you know, is supposed to depict lavender, or maybe not, I don't know. They're pretty anyway, whatever it's supposed to be. And we'll take some white. And we'll lighten it up a little. And we'll take the darker pink and we'll darken it up. So we still have our lights and darks, right? And then I think I'll just have some coming down. Coming down like this over stuff. And take some white. And those are very pretty. I'm trying to keep within the same colors as, you know, what I've, similar to what I've got going on already. Now I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take some yellow ochre and some brown and some yellow. And I'm going to come right in between for a nice long kind of, you do have to have some water to move it around, but very little. And make this sort of brownish colored leaf in the middle here. And we'll take some of the yellow and highlight this top area. So that's how that looks there. And I think I'm gonna try, I don't have the same colors out for this color, this turquoise. Let's see if I can put something together. No, I can't get the same color that I had there, and I wanted to keep the same. It's kind of a, well, let's try something. No, it's going to come out different, but that's okay. That's perfectly fine, because we're just a different variety of this color. And there we go. And I like to sometimes leave that kind of frayed end of the leaf. It's pretty. Add some more yellow again because it faded out. If you want, you can just add some white right at the top there, or wherever you want the highlight to be. Well, I hope you're enjoying this little different thing here. I like to do different things. I like to try different things, see what this does and that does, and how this works together and how that works together, and it's usually quite fun. You find out a lot of cool things. And then I think what I'm going to do is straight yellow here with some of the Indian yellow, I think. And right here, it's not going to show very much, so I'll use more of the Indian yellow. And just sort of, it will kind of be like silhouette. You can see it, but it's not, but it's pretty. It kind of silhouettes over everything, which I like. I like that touch. And then we can almost just, you know, go around and add some yellows in with the greens. That's also pretty to do. And that's a pretty combination, this Indian yellow and yellow. So it kind of brightens it up quite a bit, actually. Well, it's a good thing this isn't a long video because I don't think I'd have a voice to last. I'm already losing it. So have just those sort of sitting kind of like that. So I think this video has gone long enough, so hope you like it, folks. Here, I'm going to add a little bit of this. I always like the yellow in flowers, the hints of yellows that are in flowers. So I'm just taking some of the yellow right now and sort of putting it ever so gingerly into the flowers. So there's harmony within everything. And there we are. I mean, I honestly don't think if I didn't tell you that you would know that I just put on top of the watercolor, that I put acrylics on top of the watercolor. I honestly don't think that you would even have known. I think I'm going to change this color here to, on the darker ones, to the yellow. There we go for the dots in the center. And I think one last, yeah, that's pretty. One last little hoorah right here. Some smaller, lighter ones. There we go. I mean, there's a ton of more things I could do with this, but for this particular little video, where I've added acrylic, a certain amount of acrylics over watercolor, I think that that's probably the way I'm going to leave it. So I hope you've enjoyed it, folks. Hope you try it out for yourself. Check out my other stuff and have a most wonderful rest of your beautiful day. Bye for now.